Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankara Sharya Majamam Asmada Sharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param Param Svaro Guratmeti Veda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatosh Maham Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Okay, we begin from where we stopped yesterday, page 1596. So thus we have got a second path, Marga, which is called Krishna Marga. And who is the travel going through this Krishna Marga? This Krishna, as we have seen, has a different meaning that in analogy is a path which is less luminous, although we are using the name Krishna. We have seen it yesterday. So there are a lot of symbolism and aspects of what's being unfolded here that I have no familiarity with at all. So we have these people who just go through this path, so to speak. Okay, people writing me right now. Let me stop. People traveling this Marga. Who are these travelers? And he says, are they yogis? There are two kinds of yogis. One is from what I remember, one is the religious samsari that does a lot of pujas and rituals and verbal and physical sadhanas without any mental upasana. And then there are some people that do upasana as well. So the people who do a lot of good work and extend that effort to doing upasana, and upasana has the element of knowledge to it, because as we know, you're going to meditate on the nature of Brahmaji. So if you got prepped for the upasana, got qualified, and then you do this upasana, chances are that you go to Brahmaji's loka and become and get how you call krama mukti. You become a krama mukti. And then the other one is you do only physical and verbal sadhanas, and then you may go to some other lokas, but just to exhaust that kind of spiritual punya in some celestial lokas, but with a return ticket to come back here. So one goes to some celestial lokas and then exhaust the punya and come back, and other goes directly to Brahmaji's loka or Brahma loka, and that one has the potential to get krama mukti, and then having no return ticket. But we have seen in some other texts that the fact that one reaches Brahmaloka does not guarantee the assimilation of knowledge. One can go there, enjoy some time, with Brahmaji and whatnot, listening to his satsangs and come back in any case. So those are the concepts here. And these people doing a lot of these rituals and so on, it's called yoga in this context. In Sanskrit, karmi, or the precise kevala karmi. So kevala karmi. Okay. Do you know by any chance what means Kevala? Kevala? No need. Okay, it's just another name for the karmis, to the religious karmis that do a lot of ritualistic, verbal, and physical sadhanas. Huh? And it's also referred to as Kevala Karmi. Krishna sums up these two margas in the next verse. So he's going to clarify in the next verse, being this one, the first one now. These two paths of the world, known as the bright paths and the less bright or darker paths, are indeed considered to be eternal. By the former, the bright paths, one attains the world of no return. So we have seen that in both of these paths, in both of these margas, there are guides waiting for us to take us there. Otherwise, we get lost. We don't know anything. So Ishvara has to take us where we deserve. So let's say, and then we get there, and then one is very brightest, and the other is a little bit darker. And here Krishna Guru says these two paths of the world, known as the bright paths and the dark paths, are indeed considered to be eternal. By the former, one attains the world of no return if one assimilates the knowledge directly from Brahmaji, and by the later, the less bright paths, the latter, one comes back again. How you say this word? Latter or later?
Latter.
Thank you. By the latter, one comes back again. I lived in the USA for 15 years. I don't remember hearing people say that. It may be not very fashionable anymore, or what? Possibly, huh? Okay. So Krishna is just giving a name to this, giving the name in this loka, the name of what? Of what he anticipates here, the name of these two margas in the next two verses. In the previous two lokas, he indicates the presiding devatas, but not the name of the paths. He gives the name here. These two paths are known by the name of Shukla or Sukla. You have to add the Gathi, Sukla Gathi and Krishna Gathi. Otherwise, Sukla Marga and Krishna Marga. Otherwise, Devayana and Pitraina. So, of course, we don't relate to so many variations of words pointing to the same principle, to the same thing we want to understand. So what is curious to me is that they use this Krishna, and it was explained before, which would mislead us to understand, oh, that must be the brighter path, but it's not, because Krishna there has a different meaning, as we have seen yesterday. When were these two roads created? Did he mention eternal? No, these two paths, the bright and the are considered to be eternal. So Krishna presents it. So why he said it's eternal? I mean, it's very simple. Everything in the three worlds exists beginninglessly, and endlessly. So it appears to end during pralayam, but everything is there eternally. So when Ishvara makes this projection, and the projection is there as the three words, and the first one, which the causal is the seed, and then it manifests as the subtle universe, or cosmos, and then into the physical material cosmos. So there are paths or sadhanas to gain, to attain spiritual elevation in this Vyavaharika. But then when we go into the the field of upasana and dhyana and nididhyasana, we are going to the subtle world of meditation and contemplation. So that is going to bring results which are different from the results we get in the Vyavaharika doing verbal and physical actions. Okay, so even mental, when the mental is not, you know, is not permeated by knowledge, understanding, those meditations, they don't really have a profound effect as we would expect. So it says that it's eternal because it's not that Vyavaharika is eternal, but Pratibhasika is something else. No, the word unfolds like that, the three words, and comes back. And of course, it has to be eternal. And by one, you do not return, but the latter one comes back again. Swami Krishna gave the names. When and what is true past creates, So the let's say the subtler dimensions in which one experience duality, and this physical material dimension in which we experience duality as well. So, and as a body, mind, sense complex, we are not only the body, we are the mind as well. So we experience duality here, and even our thoughts, feelings, and emotions is duality. They are objects of experience because we are a mixture of mind and body. So we experience the subtle world and the physical material world. Both come as objects of experience. So when what is to pass, in the subtle, towards spiritual punya, dharma, and the ones gained here in the Vyavaharika doing sadhanas involving only verbal and physical actions. So these two paths are there, and they were created together with the projection, the initial project, the eternal, beginningless projection. It's not that Ishvara projects the universe and then creates a subtle universe by which you can go to other universe, because a lot of people believe that those are different universes, those are dimensions that are independent from this dimension. No, that is the byproduct of our experience here as Jiva Atmas, and we experience both the subtle and the physical Vyavahari, and the way we developed our vasanas is going to provide Ishvara with the material to keep, update these subtle dimensions, interdimensions, some people higher dimensions, subtler dimension. But this is all together with this physical material, so much so that we here associate with the physical body, we're experiencing both, the subtle world and the physical world. If everybody would develop to gain spiritual wisdom, so we would have a situation in which not only the Vyavaharika would be much, much fair and pleasant, people would be much happier here, and the celestial locus would be wonderful as well, because that is a byproduct of our situation here, our vasanas, our tendency, our states. It's not that Bhagavan thought, okay, I create a Vyavaharik and then I create another realm in which people can take one of these margas, these roots, or this, to go into different new other dimensions or universe. No, it's all one thing. Veda came with the creation, meaning to say the teachings revealing the three worlds is called the Vedas, and the Vedas came with creation. Vedas is nothing but the laws and principles from the standpoint of, of karma, yeah, the laws and principles relate to the Jivatma. Jivatma has this free will, and he needs to understand these laws and principles of the subtle universe. What are these laws and the principles of the subtle universe? So it's ethical, it is moral, psychological. All of this is a part of this inner world that we humans experience now here, still associated with physical body, but we are said to experience that even when we dissociate from the physical body. So the Vedas is integral part of this manifestation because the Vedas is a body of knowledge that presents the principles and laws in the subtle world, which means what I just said, ethical, moral, karmic, psychological, spiritual laws, and so on. So it came together. It's part of God's laws and principles. Along with the creation, so Vedas gives only the karmas. Now, what is the other expression they say? The karmas for the karmis, let's say, and the karmas for the upasakas or the meditators. Meditation is a form of action, but it's a much subtler mental action, which must include knowledge in regards to this mithya, reality, and satya, meaning to say the nature of saguna and as well nirguna Brahman. So the Veda comes because all laws, not only the physical and chemical laws, but all laws holding together the structure of the subtle universe, all laws are integral part of this manifestation. So, and then the three words are there, the causal, we don't need to bother. We can never access the cause and try to impact positively because it's just latently, potently, and present somehow like the seed of a huge tree. So, but we can understand the subtle in a more tangible way, and the Vyavaharika, the physical material. This all came together with the creation. So, and then what happens? It gives us the possibility to develop what? Sadhanas involving actions on the level of verbal and physical, rituals and ceremonies and pujas and a lot of things, okay? So, because if we want things of this world, we need to do those kind of sadhanas. But if we want spiritual elevation, we have to do another kind of sadhana that involves what? The intellect and the ability to develop focus, one point in the net, expansion, subtlety, to begin meditating on the nature of Saguna Ishwara to begin with. Two kinds of sadhakas came into place because of these two worlds, the physical and the subtle. We experience both, as I'm repeatedly saying. So therefore, we have two spiritual markets, spiritual paths. One is, actions, and the other is meditation, contemplation. Is it okay? Clear? Make sense? So these are the two beginningless paths which come along with this projection and which will go only at the time of pralaya, as we know. So you see, the projection is presented, and then its original material is the macrocosm vasana load of all jivas. In some text says that our vasanas as animals, they are part integrant of all of this entire process as well. So we have all this vasana load and which manifests the subtle and the physical. And this comes all from Jiva Atma as a co-creator. We are Jivas. They are interacting and they are producing tendencies, desires, fears, and so on. And then two paths are established. And according to our level, we're going to be more into the path of doing to get some more tangible result, like a better experience of myself and the world, or reflecting, studying, contemplating, so that I can gain purification, refinement, and focus. Okay, so these two markers are beginningless and eternal, exactly such as the universe or the cosmos. As I have anticipated, in one of them, you're going to go higher, higher, higher into the lokas and get satsang with Brahmaji and get Krama Mukta or Krama Mukti. But you have to go to Brahma Loka, and it's not guaranteed that you're going to get moksha there. So if you don't, you come back. But you can just do other kinds of sadhanas in this Vyavaharika that brings you to one of these higher dimensions or lokas, in which you're going to enjoy, but you have to come back. So, as I have been saying, so even if we get moksha, if we get a clear and doubtless self-knowledge here, we can never be sure that Ishvara does not give us a ticket back later on, So this is just an outline, structure of these pointers, okay? And it's understandable because there is nothing that purifies the person more than direct self-knowledge, but some residual ignorance always remains. Some residual ignorance. Swami Ramana Maharaj used to talk a little bit about that. So a person through one path has a ticket of return, and then going to Brahmaloka, he goes there with one ticket, and Brahmaloka says, no, you did not pass the examination. Here it's your ticket of return, okay? And then it is said that the yoni, because this analysis does not involve the yoni, but it's said in another context that the yoni does not take any of these paths, but he she dissolves into conscious existence as such at the time of departure, okay? Because the soul does not have enough raga dvesha to produce, with the help of Maheshwara, another birth. But we have to leave it to Shvara whether it's going to finish us up, whether it's going to take us to a higher loka to come back, or if it's going to take us to Brahma loka. And then later on, Brahmaji decides whether it finishes with you or sends you back with a return ticket. So there is no guarantee in any case. No? Because if a yoni is not fully a potato which was fully cooked, there is a possibility that he comes back. Okay, he has yana, and one has transformed one's life. But if there are enough raga dvesha, so it may go to one of these very high lokas. I mean, who knows? I mean, in this conversation, because it's very didactical to all of these. Suppose, let's speculate, a yoni leaves the body, and he has a very, very solid, doubtless self-knowledge. But somehow there was something in there that did not allow the dissolution of the individual soul, okay? And then Ishwara is going to scratch his head and say, now what am I going to do with this guy, okay? And say, okay, I'm going to give him a second chance. I'm going to send him to Brahmaloka. He was not a yogi. He did not develop very psychic powers, But Brahmaji is all powerful. He said, let me send him to Brahmaloka to see if he can finish his cooking process, and then Brahmaji finished with the soul. Okay, so I see that's my take on this kind of theme or subject. So here, a person go to Svaga Loka, one of these less bright lokas, because it did a lot of noble karma, such as service and charity, pujas and rituals. He observes Dharma, doing his duties, her duties. He acquires some punya that takes him to one of these higher dimensions, not the highest. No? So the lower point in all of these, as we know, is that we exhaust it and then we come back. And Swami here presents something which is, it does not represent confusion to us, but he says that for people in India, people studying there, people within the Vedic culture, when they hear this, they get a little bit confused. Because but some Brahma Sutras, they analyze to resolve this confusion. What is the confusion? Krishna mentions two paths, and he makes this analogy with daytime and nighttime, and then people not interpreting this passage clearly with the help of gurus such as Swamiji. It may say, okay, it means to say, if I die during the day, I'm going to one place. If I die during the night, I go to another place. So, of course, it does not come into our mind because we are beyond that level of possible confusion. So these are symbolisms now that I don't even quite understand completely. So there's nothing to do with the time of your death. None of this has anything to do with location. Some people before dying go to Varanasi because there is a saying that in Varanasi you die and then you go to a higher loka because you died there. So to me, it never made sense because what takes us is our spiritual growth, which has nothing to do with location. But there may be something mystical or esoteric about that explains those phenomena. I don't know. It's not relevant as far as self-inquiry and self-knowledge. Okay? Therefore, it appears as though the time of death will determine if you go to the very luminous higher Brahmaji Loka or some inferior celestial lokas. So this is absolutely incorrect. So if you look into the elaborate analysis in the Brahma Sutra, it has been established the time of death has nothing to do with that. You say here he says the quality of your mind, quality of your life, it says, which determines what you deserve. Okay, where you're gonna go and in which conditions you're gonna come once you took a vacation, because mithya is tough, So nowadays people work without any possibility of taking vacation, as the situation here. There is no real labor or contract between employees and employer anymore. You work. You better save some money. And here and there, you may arrange a week to travel somewhere to take a break. So that's the level of things. Even in Europe, which was more socialist in the past, nowadays there is no security in terms of labor contracts or anything. Everybody has to work, and try to find some short gaps in between. So when we go through an entire life in mithya, especially in such a circumstance, we need a vacation, and we need a longer vacation. And, possibly in one of these great lokas to offset or to compensate us for the struggle here. So it's our state that is going to direct what kind of vacation we're going to have. Swamiji says, I'm not going to go into any details about his life. He always likes to go into the details. In the 24th verse, Skula up, and daytime unmentioned, and in the 25th verse, Krishna mentioned, suppose a person dies, because according to 24th verse, Krishna Gati or Krishna Paksha Maranam, is there or not? Basic doubt should not come. Bhagwan will be confused. Similarly, according to 24th, there's so much Sanskrit here that I'm having a hard time to see what is the confusion Swamiji is trying to to prevent.
I think that basically the confusion is that if you're following a Sukla Marga all your life, but then you die in the middle of the night, which is supposed to be, you know, then you don't go forward. So
The
you
same.
also be a jerk and then die during the daytime, and then you would get a free pass.
So
So
these confusions do not get into the mind of sophisticated Vedantis such ourselves, as we know. So that's why I find it not very relevant to go more into this. So never interpret these two lokas without the help of a guru. How many criminals die in Uttarayana? No? How many criminals go and die in Varanasi? How many saints die in Dakshinayana, in the dark or in places that are not supposed to be holy, for example? Huh? How many saints die there? So, people can go in one of these places, wait to midday when the sun is bright, and then take the cyanide and die in the hope that they are going to meet Brahmaji somewhere. Krishna himself makes it very clear on the next verse, and on this 26th verse, they refer to Marga, not to time at all. Okay? All right. Whatsoever it means. Marga is a kind of pass. No? So a pass is, one puts up the effort into Upasana and Nididhyasana, and a pass, which is more on the physical realm, in which people do physical verbal sadhanas to get to get a different kind of punya. Huh? So Arjuna, having known these two paths, no yoga gets deluded. Therefore, be committed to meditation all time. So having known these two paths, no, let's say, yogi gets deluded. Because the yogi is going to get deluded. The yogi, they want punya, they want, they want these celestial realms. They want to, if possible, reach Brahmaloka. Those are the yogis. Huh? But the yin yogs do not get deluded because the yin yog lives his or her life, totally based on knowledge, and the knowledge we get by being in constant contact with the scripture. The scripture saying there are two paths, but the yin yogs, they don't get this confusion. Huh? They are not interested in neither one of these paths. Be committed to meditation at all times, Arjuna. Okay. So the two paths, you remember, one was involved in some upasana that takes you to Brahmaloka, and then the other one was about physical and verbal actions that take you to some intermediary loka in which you take a good vacation. And now maybe he's going to make a reference to the third kind of path, which is referred to as a pathless path, which is Yin Yoga of Vedanta, you don't need to travel. You don't need to go like that. You just make an effort to understand. So Krishna says, I have talked about two destinations, two paths, two kinds of people. Having all the difference of these two, the Shrit, not Shrit means the God, da, 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 da. Let's see, there's two paths, one way, one path leading to better future, other path leading to inferior celestial locus, and so on. So an intelligent seeker will never vote to any one of these two paths. Therefore, let's forget about republics and democrats. Okay, so you need to vote, but this vote is not subject to marketing narratives like we see nowadays. This vote is you on your very level of spiritual development that is going to be pulled in one of these two paths, so to speak. So yogi here means a viveka, discriminating yin yogi, in other words. An intelligent seeker will not get confused with regards to karma marga and upasana marga. So he's not into meditation as a means for moksha. He's not into physical and verbal sadhana as a means to moksha. No, he's beyond all of that because he was properly educated by the scriptures. So whether I should become a karmi or whether I should become a upasaka, such a doubt should not come to the wise yin yogi. The yin yogi is not going to be confused about that. He got so much wisdom already that he's not doing things to gain anything that is finite and impermanent. That is a wise person, huh? Not been doing some sadhanas just to have a better realm of duality that I know is subject to change as we finish up our vacation there. I assume that you are yin yogi, Arjuna, therefore what you should do. Become a upasaka. Arjuna, may you choose upasana. No doubt you have to do karma. You doubt you have to do your duties. You don't. But let karma go. But Saguneshwara upasana, but add to it Saguna. He's not jumping to Nididhyasana. He's saying that the intelligent seeker must choose upasana, which is a sadhana which involves the intellect and knowledge. Let's see if he's going to mention the real wise one that goes beyond the idea of upasana. Therefore, at all times, beginning from now onwards, yoga means da yoga bhava, yoga yukata bhava. May you choose upasana between these two paths. Here we should be very careful. When I'm asked to choose between karma and upasana, I have to choose upasana. But remember, in the 8th chapter of the Gita, Yana is not contesting the election. So it seems that he was referring to Yana Yoga and self-knowledge, Atma Yana. But he is saying, no, it's only between the two. And here the intelligent one is the one who, knowing these two paths, no yoga gets deluded. Delusion is to choose the path of karma, actions, verbal and physical. And the intelligent one is going to choose the path of upasana, commitment to upasana, meditation at all times. So this is a yogi that's not subject to delusion, okay? But as we know, commitment to meditation is going to produce a finite result as well, because ultimately only Atma Vichara and Atma Yana is going to resolve the problem. You understand that, Mark?
Yes, I understand.
Okay. Because Yana is a commitment to understand the nature of Nirguna Brahman. Nirguna Ishvara Yana, Atma Yana, self-knowledge, is not being presented here, was not brought here. It was taught in the previous verse, chapter 7. So, which is the unique chapter? The comparison is between karma and upasana. If I'm forced to choose one of the two, of course, like our two corrupted parts, like Republicans and Democrats, both corrupt equally, you have to choose the less corrupt, the less of the two evil. Similarly, here, between karma and upasana, you have to choose. You have to choose the better between the two. You choose upasana. Upasana is superior to karma. Saguna Ishvara Upasana. So then with this, Krishna has concluded this discussion. Now Krishna concludes it by glorifying Karma Mukti in the next verse, I guess, which is accomplishment of God himself, because remember, whether it is a Jiva Mukti or a Krama Mukti, a seeker reaches what? It reaches Brahmana Lord. Whether it's directly a direct flight or a direct dissolution, you are finished by your own efforts to understand reality, the nature of reality, or you go there and Ishvara or Brahmaji finish you by helping you to finally get it. So whether it's a direct flight or a stopover in Brahmaloka, the destination is the same. Therefore, Karma Mukti is highly glorified in the conclusion of this chapter. Therefore, Krishna glorifies Brahmaji as the destination that delivers your moksha. Having known and practiced upasana, these upasanas, the yogi goes beyond all the punya phala, which is promised with regard to the study of the Vedas, as well the performance of practice, austerities, rituals, and whatnot, charity. This yogi attains the supreme and primal goal or abode of Nirguna God. Okay, it's the only reference presented here of something that it is our final destination, but here is being present as a must pass by Brahmaloka, something like that. Here, yoga means what? Ishvara Upasaka, Saguna Ishvara Upasaka. This is said to be the intelligent who has understood what was taught through this chapter, understood the limitations of what you get with sadhanas involving actions, and the sadhanas involve meditation and contemplation. Therefore, having clearly understood the higher path, the higher sadhana, this Saguna Ishvara Upasana follows Upasana, and by way of that, Param Stadana, he or she votes for Krama Mukti and attains moksha by understanding the nature of Nirguna Brahmaji. Here, God is described as the supreme and the beginningless abode or destination. So, Adyam means Sarva Karana. Param means the highest, and sthana means destination, which is one other than Nitya Ishwaram Upati. What is the glory of this Nitya Brahmaji or Ishwara? Krishna said the result is greater than all the karma palas gained by the other sort of upasanas. Upasana palan is definitely superior to karma palan. So we have three levels of palans or results from karmas, which is actions, and in this case, verbal and physical. Upasana, okay, which is meditation, the nature of Saguna Ishwara. Yeah? And then we have Yanam Palan, which is the result gained by understand the nature of Nirguna Atma, Nirguna Brahman. So different kind of palans, Karma Palan, Upasana Palan, and Yanam Palan, Atma Yanam Palan. What we get from the study of the Upanishads. So Upasana Pala is greater than Karma Pala, and a few karmas are enumerated here. So some of them practice of several types of vows, charities among them. All of these involving karmas, actions. So the Veda promised punya pala, as karma pala from those physical, verbal actions. But the upasana palan is superior and transcends all of these karma palans, as we know. Karma palan we do for the sake of having a better experience of ourselves and the world, and upasana we do with the goal of developing spiritual purity and refinement. So the upasana palan is superior to all the karma palan. Karma palan gives finite lokas, let's say, and upasana pala gives brahma loka, let's say, with the potential for self-knowledge to become a krama mukti. Therefore, Arjuna, do not miss the opportunity. Take to Saguna Ishwara Upasana and remember the Lord all the time. And the time of death also, may you remember Lord, and then you attain moksha. Krishna has indirectly answered the seventh question of Arjuna. Why this seventh question of Arjuna?
Because at the beginning of the chapter, Arjuna asked Krishna 7 questions.
Okay.
Hold on.
Very nice.
He said, what is the self? What is action? What is said to be the domain of the elements? What is called the domain of the gods? Etc., etc.
Very nice. Thank you. Time has gone by that we even forgot the initial theme or question, the beginning of this 8th chapter. So very nice. Thank you. Therefore, Arjuna, do not miss this opportunity. Take to Saguna Ishwara Upasana and remember the Lord at all times. And at the time of death also, now we have seen this concept again and again being emphasized. We are going to remember the time of death if we have developed that kind of tendency of vasana. May you remember Lord, and then you're going to take to Brahmaloka and attain moksha. So thus Krishna has indirectly answered the 7th question of Arjuna, which is Prayanakala Ishwara Smaranam. So that is conclude the 8th chapter. So Lynn was correct. She knew we were going to finish it today. And Swami says that the title was Akshara Brahma Yoga. He says, but the better title for this chapter could be Prayanakala Smarana Yoga. But still, perhaps they did not want us to remember Prayanakala.
I think it's remember at the time of death.
Mhm. Okay. 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 But still, perhaps they did not want us to remember. Maybe we will get fear. Since Krishna's teaching begins with Aksharam Brahma Paramam, that's how Krishna begins his teachings here. And therefore, this chapter is called Aksharam Brahma Yoga. In some other books, this chapter is titled Taraka Brahma Yoga. Both are okay. Okay. A third title suggests here is Taraka Brahma Yoga, Akshara Brahma Yoga, and Aksharam Brahma Parama. Okay. Prayanakala Samara Yoga. No, Swami suggests Prayanakala. So, anyhow, it's not for us. We are not Sanskrit students. So we have a few minutes. How about we do play with some Q&A or some answers, some sharing.
It seems to me that this whole business about remembering something at the time of death is just a little bit to motivate one for consistent upasana during life, you know. Really, all the esoteric stuff, you know, I just don't think it, as you say, it's not that significant if you're not a karmi.
Yeah. Well, it's common sense and it's very practical. We know that if we engage in some thought process, now some people they get great insights during the night, or they just wake up in the morning still, holding those thoughts. So the cycle of awakened state and then deep sleep and then awake again gives us an indication that our mental state is going to come back somehow as we awake. And then we would think, okay, and then it's better in a macro level. Huh? We have a mental state which is devotional towards God before we die. But how can you produce it without having grown with it gradually? It's a lifetime path, lifestyle path of a devotee, which not only love Ishwara, Saguna Ishwara, but begins making effort to understand its nature, and furthermore begins to inquire into the nature of Nirguna Ishwara. So the more we grow in terms of getting this wisdom, this knowledge, the better is going to be our next birth. It's so easy for us, but there is no way we can cheat or trick Ishwara. There are some stories and metaphors that points to that. I already shared with you guys, maybe more than once, one of them. And no shortcut. We need to cultivate, build, grow certain vasanas, spiritual vasanas, so that we can develop love towards God, devotion, knowledge in regards to the nature of God, and so on. And Swami was saying, like, maybe they like to say that the title is you have to remember God at the time of death. Because when you hear that, Swami was mentioning something, when you hear that, you are going to be afraid. So what if I cannot remember God before that? And then any intelligent person will understand that I cannot make it up in the last moment. And then the fear is if you don't remember, you're going to go into very, very low locus, inferior locus, and I want to go high, high, high. So, and then the person may be motivated to begin traveling this spiritual path of purification and growth and refinement, because anybody can see that it's not possible to fix it in the last moment. Nobody fixes things in the last moment. Even the health condition of the physical body, the body has incredible power to find its balance and start healing in spite of aging. But sometimes one push. I'm trying to bring to the attention of my son, Jesus. He's living a very unhealthy lifestyle physically as well. And so it comes a point that you got addicted to those emotions, those chemicals of stress, and you don't find your way out of that anymore. This is the power of vasana, addictions. So we need to cultivate and develop a health spiritual lifestyle, which is conducive to spiritual growth and self-knowledge. You're going to say something, Mark?
I was going to say, I've been thinking a lot about what was mentioned last week in the fact that once we've got the Saguna knowledge and the Nirguna knowledge of Brahman, we then have the choice to where we place our identity. And we can choose. We've got all the knowledge, so now we choose. And I've been thinking, how our choices basically are our actions on a day-to-day, moment-to-moment basis. What we choose to do is a reflection of where our identity is at that moment of time.
Definitely, yeah. It reflects.
So I've just been working with that, and using that approach going into all my actions. It's like, okay, I'm whole and complete. So for what purpose am I doing this action? And so really being very very focused on karma yoga in that respect. Okay, so this is an action, a gift, rather than anything for my particular benefit. A gift to the whole and for the purification of my mind. So yeah, I've just been thinking about these sort of things.
Good. Very nice. Good sharing.
So with that,
The other thing oh, sorry, Lynn.
Oh, I didn't follow your thought.
Mark?
The other thing I've been thinking of is there's one verse in Gita which says something like, God's talking about, Ishvara is talking about his glories. And, in the warrior, I am the braveness. And in the seasons, I am the spring. And every time when I'm outside, it's so very easy for me to recognize Ishvara everywhere at the moment. Everything is so beautiful and shining, and it's very easy to see the intelligent design behind the whole creation. It's beautiful, or the whole manifestation. So yeah, covering everything with Ishvara.
Yeah.
Also.
Nice. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's the Vishwarupa,
So
right? Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful.
You are going to say, Lynn?
That is the Vishwarupa Upasana, the fulfillment of Upasana, really. And from there, that means, that presupposes, I think, the acquisition of the qualifications. And we are at the same time enjoying that level of Upasana, which is real pleasure. And then also with the Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, it's like you don't have to leave any of the steps behind. They're just full as you proceed. What a great marga, huh?
Very nice. This is getting the complete knowledge, complete teachings, going by every one of those stages, Kama, Dhamma, Upasana, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate Om Shanti 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 Om. Namaste. Thank you. I will let you know whether we meet Thursday or only Friday, or Thursday and Friday. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
Gator, alligator.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Arlindo. Okay. See you at the end of the week.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye now.